Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're going to do a quick video talking about the disappearance of Mama JF. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the sector and don't know who Mama JF is, Mama JF's real name is Élora Patoine. I think that's how you pronounce it. I apologize in advance because I'm not French, and she is the common law wife of JF Gariepy, who is a scientific wignat and podcaster who has a television show, or I'm sorry, he has like an internet show, a YouTube show. I forget what it's called. I think it might be called The Public Space or something, or The Public Square or something like that. But in any case, she has gone missing. She was last seen in June. She's gone missing under very bizarre circumstances. And if you're familiar with this guy, you know he's a weirdo. So, but also that Mama JF herself is also very weird and strange. So these are two weirdos. One of them is missing, and it is very serious though, because we're now into late October. She is missing potentially in the wilderness of Canada, where it is very cold, and I'm not sure if she is mentally handicapped like some of his prior girlfriends, or if she's just French. And really, is there a difference? Just kidding. She may just be French though, but you'll see from clips that we play, she may not be altogether there. So this is probably not somebody that can do well taking care of themselves. Although from the way he describes her, she's 007 and she's able to, she is able to survive in the wilderness and urban wilderness, and which I think just means homelessness. Like she's good at being homeless or something, and that apparently she's been able to get through borders without a passport by being smuggled through smuggling routes and networks, because she apparently makes contact with these homeless people that somehow she's able to communicate with, and they're able to arrange to get her across the border. So basically she's a she apparently, according to him, has a fugitive mentality, a fugitive that commits no crimes. So apparently she is highly capable, highly adept, and in fact will be throwing investigators and federal agents off of her scent as she goes. Despite the fact that it is unclear if she is aware that anybody is looking for her, or if she's even still alive. So that, of course, is concerning. She was last seen June 17th. So according to him, and we will play parts of the video that he put up, this article was just published by the CBC on October 3rd, so not that long ago, less than 2 weeks ago. So she's 30 years old. She's 5'10", so she must be taller than him, and she speaks both French and English. She was last seen in PEI at the end of Confederation Bridge, which links the province to New Brunswick. That's her last known sighting on June 17th. And he claims that she has an electronic trail far from him. Like the way that he has discussed his missing wife is very strange. The police say this is a high priority case, and that they are making efforts to follow up with anybody who may have come across Mama JF. He expects police will be conducting interviews, checking through any available surveillance video as they search for Mama JF. Moore says she has links to both Prince Edward Island and Quebec. And he says that the Prince Prince District RCMP and the Major Crimes Unit are investigating the disappearance. And then there's a phone number there for anybody that may have spotted her in the wild. You know, if you've had a Mama JF sighting, there's a phone number that you can call to let people know if you've seen her. I'm sure that her family's worried about her, but then again, maybe not. Maybe they're not, because they weren't the ones that reported her missing either. It was apparently a quote-unquote concerned citizen that noticed, I guess, she wasn't around and was concerned. And so, according to JF, she chose to leave on her own. Now, I will bring up briefly, just to point this out. I mean, let's be real. The Daily Beast, this is a Daily Beast hit piece, but also, let's be real too, that JF Gariépy is weird. He's a weirdo, and this stuff, there are truth to some of these allegations, but obviously it's going to be written as a smear piece. But just to give some background here, he has a history of acting weird and having weird relationships with women, and the types of women that he likes to, it seems like he likes to go after women who are mentally challenged in some way. Like, he likes to have and feel, I think, a superiority over them, and he likes to have control over women. So anyways, he is accused of luring and attempting to impregnate a developmentally disabled Hispanic teenager while lawyers contested his immigration status. This comes amid a separate legal battle with his wife, who accused him of trying to kidnap their infant to Canada. So he has clearly a history of, like, my goodness, this guy's life sounds insane. But he's obviously he's got, like, weird issues. He seems to have a breeding fetish for whatever reason. And this article does go into that a little bit. There are a couple points. Most of this is smear piece stuff, but there are a couple points in here that are important, and I will point out, I do want to highlight them. He stands accused in 2 court cases of a pattern of bizarre and abusive behavior toward women. Allegations that, of course, he denied. A child custody case with his 3rd wife included allegations that he engaged in misconduct with an undergrad he supervised while he was a researcher at Duke University. His wife won sole custody of their newborn after presenting evidence Gariepy had threatened to abduct the baby to Canada while his visa was dependent on their marriage. And while that case is happening, this custody battle with his wife, he lost a guardian dispute over another woman, a 19-year-old autistic, and I mean, like, crippling autism, severely autistic, according to the court documents, which I will link and include in the video description. This is somebody who was unable to bathe without help, and I may have been even nonverbal at times. Like, this is, you know, she was basically assessed to have the mental capacity of, like, a 10 or 11-year-old child. That's the level of disability that we're talking about. So that in and of itself is disgusting. That is no different than what PEDOs than them, in my opinion, okay? Doesn't matter that she's 19 years old. In her mind, she is a child. She has a mind of a child. So this is obviously a vulnerable person that was manipulated by somebody who should have been looking out for them, not taking advantage of them. And so, of course, this the counselor, the court-appointed psychologist, assessed her as having that level of disability. And he met her online, entered into an inappropriate relationship with her, and tried to say that she was his pregnant fiance and obtain legal custody of her. He wanted to be her legal guardian. That is so weird and so creepy to me. It's odd. So, but also, let's go back to some of this other stuff. He married his first wife at 18, divorced at 23. And this part I thought was strange. He said that, I wanted a family. She wasn't into it. He told a court-appointed psychologist. And by the way, his psychological assessment, I believe he was found to have sociopathic tendencies. Or they may have said that he was an outright like narcissistic sociopath or psychopath. I'll include it in the video description. You can read for yourself, but I mean, it's obvious just by listening to him that he is oh, and he's clearly autistic himself as well. He's obviously on the spectrum. So he told the psychologist, she lost interest in me. So he was talking about here, his first wife left him, lost interest. He says, I didn't know how to satisfy a woman and I was getting fat. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. A second marriage, which he claimed was to a woman who was French and needed to get into Canada, also failed, he told the psychologist. He later left Canada to take research positions at U.S. colleges before settling into a research position at Duke University in their neuroscience department in September 2011. In a viral Facebook post in September 2015, he announced he'd quit Duke because he'd grown disillusioned with the academic community. And he does, of course, make some very good and fair points in that post that he made discussing his issues with academia that I think everybody probably shares and understands. But that does not excuse his disturbing behavior. So his motives for quitting came into question during his custody dispute. One of his colleagues contacted his wife, who he'd married a year earlier that year. The former colleague, quote, contacted her after his Facebook post went viral and told her that Gariepy was not asked to return to his postdoctoral position and that he'd had an inappropriate relationship with one of the undergrad lab assistants, according to court records filed on his wife's behalf. The undergrad student confirmed the relationship to a private investigator hired by Gariepy's wife, according to court documents. While they were in a relationship, she told the investigator that Gariepy was her mentor and supervisor at their lab. So he would have been almost like her boss in that situation. So totally inappropriate for that to have happened. But at least that one was not disabled. During their relationship from January until June 2014, he wanted her to have his child. She told the investigator, according to a sworn affidavit he entered in court, he, quote, discussed how he would be a stay-at-home father and provide the child all the caring needs, unquote. So he wanted to be a stay-at-home dad and take care of the baby, not have the mom raise the child, which I found bizarre. And also, one of the things he talked about was he said that he grew up in a village dominated by families that sounded very cult-like. He said that he didn't know he didn't understand disharmony until he met women at 18 years old, got married, entered his first relationship, and then he experienced disharmony. And it's like, okay, was this guy in a cult growing up or something of this nature? That sounds kind of, sounds a little odd. So, okay. Let's see. He had, in his Facebook post where he discusses his reasons for quitting, he also mentioned that he was soon to be a father and wanted to spend time with his son at home. Remember, he wanted to be the stay-at-home parent. So that claim was up for debate. His third wife and him separated 2 months earlier after fewer than 6 months of marriage in a custody case that began the day after their son's birth. His third wife accused him of emotional abuse throughout the pregnancy and threatening to abduct the child. Okay, so let's see. I don't think that there's anything else in this article I really think anyone needs to know. These quotes are kind of weird. It just kind of shows what a weirdo he is. Now, they've done another follow-up piece discussing the disappearance of Mama JF, And his bizarre behavior. They're saying, oh, some people are suggesting foul play, while he's claiming there's video evidence that clears him and provides him with an alibi and all of these electronic traces that would show that he had nothing to do with the Mama JF's disappearance. But there are some people who think that he yeeted her and did so in a way, yeah, basically they think that there's foul play involved and that his behavior is very strange and suspicious. I think that he's obviously trolling a lot when he talks about this. He's leaning into it because he knows he's getting attention. And for somebody who, as far as I know, isn't really relevant these days, maybe that's a good thing, and maybe he's playing into like acting suspicious and talking about this in such a weird way, knowing that it's going to just drive more attention to him and he can plug his book more. Knowing this guy, like, that wouldn't surprise me because he's a narcissist. So, you know, anyways, there's some things they mention in here is important. The quote, the self-appointed journalists who are today interested in the case of a free woman who has decided to travel, which they seek to present to you as a case of male foul play, are the very same people who were interested years ago at smearing the same male with lies. Oh my gosh. I think that he's like really a comedian. He says, Mama JF chose to go another way, went off-grid on her own volition. That's a project she's been working on and preparing for many years, and I have respected her liberty in doing so. She has chose to go, and now the police is looking for her, because she has given no news to anyone, and she could be dead. She could be dead, or she could be having fun at some party, and just didn't hear that people were worried about her. He said that she has expressed an interest in living off the grid and took one such trip several years ago. In a separate video, he recounted her return from that trip. She said, yes, I thought you wanted me to leave, he recalled. Quote, that is sometimes the state of delusion in the female mind, and I can't do anything about this. I have zero control over this. If we were in the society, the Christian society of 1920, maybe I could file some report and say, hey, my wife is a little crazy. She's a little out there. Can I control her? Can I own her, basically? Okay, so there's another article. Like, this has become sort of, I guess you could say, mainstream. It's hit the mainstream. Newsweek put out a hit piece on it, about talking about this situation. So, I mean, that's kind of funny in and of itself, but let's go ahead and we will get into the actual video he put out addressing it. But this is from Gunt News. Amid allegations of murdering his missing girlfriend, Élora Patoine, better known as Mama JF, Gariépy has announced a hiatus from his show while he deals with interrogation from RCMP investigators. So he said here he'd take a break and then he would go on The Crucible and Dick Masterson. So this is the video of him discussing her disappearance. Now, he had not made the missing persons report. You know, it took somebody else to do that. Her parents didn't even do that, which is also very bizarre. But let's go ahead and let him describe this in his words.
Something personal that I'm forced to talk about at this point. It's I've been wanting to keep it relatively calmer and less
oh my god. So he has the French Canadian accent. I apologize in advance. You'll just have to deal with it. And he talks a lot. He's very verbose, but he's going to address this. He's saying he's forced to talk about it because he wouldn't have otherwise. He would not have been concerned about his wife being missing and no one having heard from her for months and having seen her, like no one's seen or heard from her. This is supposed to be allegedly, possibly, maybe the mother of his kids, plural. There could be more than one. I don't know that it's confirmed how many children he has. or if he has indeed has children with her. But from what I understand, from what I've heard, supposedly they have 2 children together. And it just, as a mother, I cannot understand why a mom would choose to leave her children behind to go live a life of adventure in the woods. That sounds absurd.
Less public, but I've been forced by the various events because people have discovered about it, and so I might as well talk about it instead of letting rumors develop and all.
And he does this weird, like, you'll see this throughout this. He has this almost like a strange smirk on his face as he discusses her disappearance and her being missing. It is almost as if he is like he's trying to stifle like the elation that he feels at her being gone. Like he thinks this is funny. You can kind of see it in his face.
All of the messy information that can stem from it. So yeah, it's the disappearance of Mama JF. Mama JF has been disappearing in the sense of not leaving.
She has been disappearing? She has been? Or she did? Like, what does that mean? She has been disappearing? Like, she slowly over time was disappearing? She's been disappearing, then coming back, and then disappearing again? Like, what is this? She has been disappearing. That's so weird.
Not leaving any contact, not leaving information about where she was. And I titled my episode The Cost of Liberty because I didn't want any of this. I'm just a family guy, and I've always been wanting to provide and secure for people around me. But there is one thing I cannot do in our society. I cannot stop you from doing crazy stuff. I cannot stop you from exposing yourself to risks when you say the words, I want to do it. When you claim your own liberty, you are on your own, and I cannot do anything.
So he is saying here, and he is arguing that in our modern era, women are liberated and they have the freedom to come and go as they please. And so he is saying that this is the cost of liberty. Women, these crazy women, are gonna just do what they want, and they're gonna make their crazy decisions, and we can't really do anything to stop them unless, of course, we had some way to have ownership of them so we could just stop them from doing things that harm themselves, right, for their own good. But he is saying that I guess what he's trying to say is that if somebody chooses to leave on their own or chooses to disappear voluntarily, there isn't really anything you can do. That's what he's saying. And he calls that the cost of liberty.
And so that I don't know if Mama JF is in danger. I don't know where she is. But at this point, I'm forced to talk about it because people are spreading rumors on the internet.
And he doesn't know where she is, doesn't know if she's safe, doesn't know if she's okay, hasn't heard from her, and didn't feel concerned or feel the need to like look for her or let people know that she was even missing.
So I'll just give you my my perspective on all of this, and people are accusing me of murder on the internet. It's like, you guys don't know the police. I've been speaking with the feds on an everyday basis for a couple of days now, for maybe I don't know, maybe a couple of days. For a couple of days I've been speaking to the police.
I'm sure you have been.
On a regular basis. So it all stems from Mama JF, you guys know, and I've stated it publicly. In June, she left. She didn't want... I mean, it's not even clear why she left, and she's done it in the past. You guys have seen it. Who have
It's not even clear why she left, but then he'll say she was planning it for years. This was her big adventure, you know? How is it not clear? But so he contradicts himself. She'd been planning it for years. She wanted to have a life of adventure, but also it's not clear why she left. He had started to say she didn't want, and then he didn't finish what he was saying.
been following the show for years. She wanted to go away, so that's
Okay, so he says she wanted to go away, and he brings up the fact that she's done this before. She has he said that she had previously done a trial run where she left, and he did this weird thing where he did his show. He talked about her leaving and then proceeded to do a Wheel of Fortune, to do a raffle to inseminate another woman. So he this is real. I'm not making it up. He talks about this. His common law wife leaves him, and so he goes on the internet and says, okay, well, we're gonna, any women who are interested in coming here to be impregnated and inseminated, you just email me and we'll do a Wheel of Fortune. And anyways, like, they were gonna raffle away who he was gonna inseminate next. But then he ended up saying to Mama JF on his show that he was going to give her some leeway. He was gonna cut her some slack, and he was going to give her an opportunity to come back before he inseminates another woman. He gave her 72 hours, I think. So she had 3 days to come back home, or he was gonna just inseminate another woman. And he went into great detail about this, which is disgusting. But he claimed to have 7 different girls that were interested in being inseminated by him, of all people. And so he was talking about this, and that was how he got her to come back previously, was by going on his show and making a weird proclamation about this Wheel of Fortune for insemination.
that's all we often know with Mama JF. She wants to go away. She had done it once and had come back to us
To us. Who's
weeks
us?
after.
So this is the other thing. Who is us? He makes indications here. He talks about several things that it seems to me that he has multiple people living in his home. And I don't know who those people would be. I don't know how many children are there and who's taking care of these kids. Does he have a live-in nanny? I don't know. Are there other people living there? What does it us mean? Like, she came back to us?
And you remember, she came on the show on the day she came back, and she said something along the lines of, well, I thought you didn't want to be with me anymore. And so, and I said to her, no, you left of your own will. But she says yes, and then she says yes, but I thought you wanted me to leave. That is sometimes the state of delusion in female minds, and I can't do anything about this. I have zero control over this.
So he is saying that she left him and she believed that he wanted her to live. And this is something that I find very telling. If you listen to the way that was described, of how he just described the interaction between them, she was saying to him that, I thought you wanted me to leave, and he was telling her, no. He was explaining to her that she left of her own volition. Why would you need to explain to somebody that they left of their own volition? That just seems strange. Nobody has to explain to me if I've left somewhere by my own choice. You know what I mean? So that's just was odd. And like I said, we don't know if Elora is in fact disabled in some way. She is very clearly unwell at times. You know, I'll play some clips of here so you guys can see for yourself. She obviously, though, has some issues. And I wonder if he has not convinced her to leave. Like, did he put an idea in her head and maybe, you know, nudge her in the direction of like, yeah, you know what? You haven't gone on an adventure in a long time. You remember how fun you used to have riding around nude on your bike in Europe? You know, why don't we go on an adventure again? You know, why don't you go back into the wild for a little bit? How about that? Remember how much fun you had when you were crossing the border without a passport through the smuggling banana crates, you know, in Peru? And, you know, what if he just like convinced her that she could do it? Like, oh yeah, you know, you are like 007. It's just wow. It's wild.
If we were in the society, the Christian society of 1920, maybe I could file some report and say, hey, my wife is a little crazy. She's a little out there. Can I control, can I own her, basically? And I'm sure that there were, I mean, basically you didn't have to file that paper in 1920s. Because in the 1920s, this was called marriage.
So he thinks that in the 1920s, marriage would mean that you could own your wife and prevent them from coming and going as they would like to do and restrict their ability to travel, I suppose, without your permission or you accompanying them. It just... Yeah, it sounds like something someone who looks like you would want to do. And, you know, it's just, he can't keep women. I mean, he himself has admitted that to court psychologists and says he doesn't know how to satisfy women. And look at his, that hair, not to mention hairline. I'm just kidding. It's not nice to comment on people's appearance.
But we are not in the 1920s, and we are in 2023 where we have an experiment going on in society. What happens when you let these females do whatever the fuck they want? Well, what happens is that they sometimes make bad decisions. So in June, she left.
Okay, so here is how he's going to describe now how this came about. And what he's saying basically is women, you know how they are. They just do these crazy things and we just have this experiment of letting these women do things and this is the result. This is what happens, and sometimes you can't help them from making bad decisions. So here he's going to describe how her disappearance went down from his point of view.
And 2 days after leaving, so she left and she had a whole plan. She had bought camping material. She was on her way to some sort of survivalist trip. From what I understood, it looked like she was preparing for life in the wild.
She was preparing for life in the wild? What? What does that mean? Like, we're gonna release her back into the wild. Now run along. Like, he just drove her out into the Canadian wilderness and like opened the trunk of the car and says, "You're free now. You know, life. Go live your life in the wild, where you come from."
She promised me when she left that she would always be reachable and that I would be able to reach her to deal with all of the official papers. You know, that she owns a lot of stuff and sometimes I need her signature. And I was like, and although, you know, we do have legal remedies for this, I was like, if you totally disappear, you might put me in trouble on some bills, on some, getting utilities and everything. So she promised to me that she wouldn't fully disappear.
So he's saying that she owns a lot of things, and that's weird because he's described her as essentially, he basically says she was homeless and an addict when he met her, but now he's saying she has a bunch of things in her name, and that makes me wonder, like, does she have um does he have certain things in her name for whatever reason? um that's odd.
Um,
Or does
and
she own, like, does she own property? Does she own assets? um I'd like to know those things.
she went away. And 2 days later, she talked to me on the phone and sent a message. But by the way, everything I tell you is things I have told to the police. So it's not there's no secret coming out that you guys are hearing. It might be secret from a public perspective, but it's all things that the feds have been knowing for a couple of days. So the last message that she sends me.
So he is saying that she had been preparing for this trip to the wilderness and to be survivalist, to go off grid or whatever, for whatever reason. He claims she got camping materials, but then later we're told that she was seen with just like a backpack, or somebody saw her with a backpack, or he like said that she left with a backpack or something. The way he describes it, like, oh, camping materials, you would assume that that would be quite a lot of gear that somebody, like, if you're going to go off grid and you're not going to, have a way to contact anybody, and you're going to go live off of like the land or something, you're going to need to have, especially as a woman. And yeah, you're going to have a lot of equipment and things that you'll need. Like, I cannot, and this is the other thing, as a woman, I can tell you that, like, I do not know any women who want to live in the wilderness or live as a vagrant or be homeless. I've been homeless and it's traumatizing. It is not something that, like, is an adventure in any way at all.
In June, 2 days after leaving, and it had been apparent. I think I may have been in contact for a couple of times during these 2 days, so I was sure that she was progressing through whatever trip she wanted to do. I knew that she was still alive. But 2 days after leaving, she says, I have changed my plans. I will not hold my promise toward you. I will not be reachable. And it's like, okay. She says, I have a new plan. And I'm like, does your new plan involve any sort of attack against me or the family?
That's such a weird thing too. Like, so basically what he's saying is she promised him, when she decided to go off on this adventure, to leave a life of like survivalism off the grid and nature, blah blah blah, that she tells him, she takes her phone with her initially, and he asks her, you need to be, please make sure that somebody's able to contact you. You own a lot of things in your name, and what if I need to contact you or for whatever reason? And she agrees that she will do that. And then he claims that just out of the blue, 2 days later, she tells him and indicates that her plan has changed. She is now going to get a new phone, and that he will no longer be able to contact her, and that's her new plan. And he does not, again, he doesn't do anything. Like, he doesn't alert police at that point once no one can get into contact with her anymore. It just seems like he didn't really care, and isn't worried. And, like, what might be the reason for that?
Because you guys know how important that is to me. She says, you don't have to be worried. My new plan does not involve you. I'm just going to change cell phone.
Oh, and that's the other thing. She tells him that she's going off on this trip to be in the wilderness by herself. And she, as far as we know, didn't even take any credit cards or any money. And then she says, oh, hey, I'm changing my plans. You know, you're no longer going to be able to reach me. I'm going to get a different phone and no one will be able to contact me and I'm going to disappear by. And his first, or she says this, his first thought is, well, does your new plan involve attacking me or the family? And again, who is the family, right? Like, are there kids? And why would he immediately rush to, does your new plan involve an attack on me? Like, he only thinks of him, he's thinking of himself here, not her. Where's his concern for her well-being? It seemingly doesn't exist.
Now, I knew that she had left without any sort of electronic tracking. You know how the police can track you with your credit card, with your debit card? She had left with nothing but her phone.
Why would you think that that was okay then? Like, I'm sorry, but as a man and as an adult, should you not have said, I don't think this is a good idea. I'm not okay with you leaving without any money or credit cards or any ability to do anything in the case of an emergency? Like, what? This is insane.
So when she said that to me through text, I concluded, okay, she's going off grid. You know, she's going full survivalism. And kind of in her fashion. I mean, that's the way Mama JF is. So changing her phone, to me, it meant I'm dropping potentially my own identity behind. I'm potentially disappearing in nature.
What?
I'm potentially, I mean, she could be anywhere from there. And that's what I was explaining to the police, you know, Mama.
This is the insane, and it's stuff like this that makes people suspicious of him, and it makes it sound like something isn't right here, because this is not normal. Like, nobody in their right mind, if you have a child with somebody or whatever, you've lived with them and been in a relationship with them for many years, and all of a sudden they just decide, hey, I'm going to go out into an adventure into the wilderness. I have no idea how long I'm going to be gone, what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to go off the grid to live this life of adventure. And you don't think that this is suspicious. And then he says that when she contacts him to let him know, hey, actually, you won't even be able to contact me by phone, that doesn't raise the alarm more. He says, oh, no, actually, this confirmed to me that, you know, she was serious about this and might even be changing her identity. And, oh, right now she's going to assume a new identity and, you know, she's going to be a master of disguise and she'll be living under an assumed name in Bolivia. It's just like, what? Oh, anything is possible with her. And that's what I told investigators.
JF, you remember the story she told on her video on YouTube where she talked about crossing the border in Spain and in the enclaves of Spain in North Africa? Mama JF is a fucking extreme, like 007 level of like fugitive mentality. And I was kind of...
It's like, what is he talking about? And what does he actually have to suggest that this is true? She told a story once about somehow crossing a border without a passport, and now that means she's an extreme 007 spy, I guess, now, that's capable of anything. Apparently she's like a secret agent potato, I guess, capable of anything.
Telling that to the police jokingly, half jokingly,
oh, she's
but
always being
it's like
she's just always hiding and always just assuming new identities and constantly evading anyone on the trail of her last, you know, identity. Like, what? She's just this like international person of intrigue now? Huh?
Professional fugitive who doesn't commit crimes.
Oh, okay. A professional fugitive. that doesn't commit crimes. And look at the laughter here. Like, this is insane.
So it's like
He's laughing.
she's gonna be hiding from you as hard as she can.
I wonder what went through his mind as he said this to the investigators, as he told them this story of how she's going to be evading them, throwing up false trails, how she's basically a professional fugitive that hasn't committed a crime. I wonder what was going through his mind as he says this to law enforcement. Oh, I wish I could have seen that. And I wonder what went through their minds as they were listening to it. Like, what? Oh my god.
While also not having anything to reproach to herself. But that's just how she is. So,
right.
I mean,
just how she is.
And so from there, I'm like, I'm going to drop myself behind. I'm going to disappear. You're not going to be able to reach me. So that is what I've been knowing since June. And of course, you're faced with the big, should I call the police? This is a willing woman, a willing adult woman doing her willing stuff. So I've not called the police because in my view, there was no evidence of criminality. There was no...
Oh, now he's, a professional, a law enforcement professional. He made an assessment, and he assessed that there wasn't any reason to be suspicious at all about his wife disappearing off the face of the earth and no one having seen or heard from her. Like, wow.
Evidence of distress. It looked like, to me, someone who has decided to go survivalism. Will I report?
It looked like a case of somebody that just decided to go full survivalism. Does he hear what he's saying? It is hilarious to me that he chose to put this out there. And he'll say things like, she's on a consensual trip. What does that mean, a consensual trip? Anything else is what, a kidnapping? I mean, what would be a non-consensual trip besides a kidnapping?
Someone for being survivalist? I mean, this reminds me of the Facebook post. You know, as one of your loved ones gone to survivalism, as one of your loved one bought too much camping material.
And so he... Sorry, I had to play that bizarre cackle, He's comparing her... He's like, the idea that he would report her disappearance to the authorities, he's saying, like, to do so would be no different than those crazy NPCs and... that are reporting people because they're buying camping, material. They've gone to survivalism, they're doing, it's like he's basically saying that if you're even suspicious about her disappearance, like, you're no different than people who freak out about something that isn't anything to be concerned about, like people going camping. He's essentially saying it's irrational to be concerned about this, and he finds it hilarious, apparently.
That is literally one of the Facebook posts, but I don't want to be in the society where buying camping material gets you reported to the feds.
Now he's saying that actually... the reason he didn't report his wife's disappearance is because he doesn't want to live in a world where you can get put on a list because you bought camping equipment. And I don't think anybody is suggesting that. Like, nobody is looking at this and being like, oh yeah, you should have reported her for buying, that camping gear and saying she was going to go on a trip. It's like, no, when she went out of contact after a few days of nobody hearing from her or seeing her, you should have then notified law enforcement that she is missing. That's what people are saying. I don't think anybody is suggesting anything else.
And I am bound to Mama JF's interest because I've loved her and I still love her and I still consider I consider myself allied to her forever. Forever, no matter what she does, even if she goes out there getting other boyfriends, I consider myself tied to her forever. So at this point,
sounds a little weird, doesn't it?
I'm in front of this information.
Sounds a little sus.
And I've decided that this was not warranting a call to the police in June. And I've spoken to her family, and they thought similarly, this is Mama JF.
This is just what she does.
She is an out there woman, and it's not the first time she does this. In the absence of any evidence of harm or that she's doing something evil to someone else.
Okay, so basically he will go on for another 20 minutes. We're not going to listen to all of his blathering, but I want people to watch it. It is ridiculous, it's hilarious, and it is disturbing, because if he did, and I'm saying if, because no one knows for sure, if he did do something awful to her, this is just gonna end up, these videos will be looked at like, wow, here he is laughing about it, and nobody knows. No one knows where she is. Nobody knows if she's, she could still be alive for all we know. She might turn up next week and we don't, hear about it again. But we don't know if that's going to happen. Like right now, as far as we know, she could be in serious danger. And it's getting very cold now in the wilderness. If she's out there with no credit card, no way to contact people, no money, what is she, how is she supposed to, feed herself? It just makes no sense to me. And again, as a parent, as a mom, I can't imagine why somebody would abandon their children to go be homeless in the wilderness. But then again, I'm not everybody. So he went on after putting out that video, which was so creepy and so weird. Everybody immediately suspected of him of not just being a killer, but being a serial killer potentially. He went and did an interview on The Crucible with Andrew Wilson where he talks about this, and he says some other weird stuff in this one too. I highly encourage people to watch it. I'll include the link to that in the video description. He says some also really weird things on his interview with Dick Masterson, which I will include in the video description. I want to bring this up here from one of his cases. This was the case with his ex-wife. And I'm going to just read this. He's appeals from a permanent child custody order in which the court awarded sole physical and legal custody of his child to his ex-wife and denied him visitation. He wasn't even allowed visitation. He appeals a previous temporary custody order which ordered him to undergo a full-scale psychological evaluation. Now, this is what the court says. In early 2015, mother and father were married. The couple separated 6 months later. In December 2015, after the parties separated, mother gave birth to the child. Shortly after the child's birth, mother was granted temporary sole physical legal custody of the child through an ex parte order. The court entered 2 subsequent temporary custody orders, both of which granted mother full physical and legal custody of the child and denied visitation. He was ordered to engage in a full-scale evaluation with a court-designated psychologist. A court-designated psychologist who conducted the evaluation of him expressed concern regarding his, quote, serious mental health issues, emotional and interpersonal relationship skills, and lack of self-control. So that was what the court psychologist determined about him, that he is potentially a psychopath. Okay. So, and they basically are saying that, you know, he made an argument that he should be allowed to have custody, and that was not granted, from what I understand. But this is just fascinating to me. Fascinating. This is a thread if people want to learn more about his history of bizarre and erratic behavior. You can read this. This is obviously written by leftists, so it's going to be written from that perspective, but there are links here that you can watch videos on. Like, he has a link to a video that where he's talking about neuroscience, and there was this Facebook post that they linked to, the one where he first left Duke University in 2015, that has a link to his book. And it just describes some of his behaviors, his documented behaviors. I have some more of the court record and court documents with this case, and I will include those. This was his reply. I wanted to include what his claim here, his side of the story. So I'll include that in the video description. Yeah, unreleased court documents were obtained where he was found to have kidnapped a mentally disabled girl he planned to impregnate. It's insane. All right, so yeah, this is where he talks about them knocking on the window. I'm woken up by the feds every morning. They're knocking on my window. And then he talks about doing the deep cleaning after she left.
But in my case, I'm comfortable enough, and Mama JF has left me with everything that matters in life, what matters most.
So this is why people were believe that there are children involved, because of how he says, oh, she left him with the most important thing.
Life. And so what can I do? I cannot hate her. I cannot be frustrated about this, and that's it. So that's why I had to take 3 days total to I made so much cleaning, so much reinstalling, so much plastering of the walls, construction, renovation. I wanted to set the home in the way I like it. It's like sterilized this home now. I can walk finally. I can access everything. The fridge is super clean. But in my case...
Yeah, okay. The fridge is super clean. How nice. Okay, so I want to play... This is a compilation, so you can see yourself, this woman, and if you think that this is a special agent, you know, a highly intelligent, highly capable 007 person.
And Marseille is charming with champagne on ice.
Okay, so this is a compilation of like the two of them here. This is when they did some kind of like celebration stream together, and they're saying some weird stuff.
Because
listen to this.
And also I eat only cheese since 2 days, only cheese. Because you give me so much. Why you give me so much cheese, GF? You're like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
She says, why'd you give me so much cheese? She only ate cheese apparently for 3 days. She says, why do you give me so much cheese? And then she said he was like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oof. Big oof.
Is it like a plot for...
No. You cannot accuse celebrities here of rape. This is the public space.
Why? There's so much
No, you cannot.
This is so creepy. Referring to yourself as a celebrity. Cringe.
Defame anyone.
This is what took place.
This is highly strange. She really did not like this individual here.
These are the kinds of people
maybe
they
we
are.
could have
This
done
is
that.
what we have to arrest. Is that Mama JF? I thought I heard something.
So he mutes her and he's pushing her away. Look at him pushing her. The body language.
Anyhow.
I had to mute Mama JF because she was telling some mean things about no white guilt.
Wow. It is like So you'll just
I
listen to
apologize.
this.
Everyone who's a fan of the show knows that Mama JF has an uncontrollable and irrational hate of No White Guilt, and we don't hate her for it. It's just a brain spark that she has
Right.
where
They're
she
laughing
construes
about
No
it.
White Guilt as someone else. All right.
So his explanation for her reaction to him and how she gets mad and upset when she sees him is, oh, she just has a brain spark.
Lawrence Forbes says, does Mama JF really have an issue with No White Guilt, or is she just fooling around? She has an actual issue.
Damn, I need to.
So he mutes her again. He's pushing her again. He's embarrassed by her. Look at
Don't say
this.
anything violent.
No, I want to.
What do you have to say?
No, I get seriously. You tried to kill me, okay?
Okay.
And I'm fucking sick that you're fucking me with me. You always follow me everywhere, and
All right.
and you say you want to make spiritual movement, but you fucking tried to kill me for 3 years, okay? You're a fucking
Okay.
psychopath, man.
T'en as assez dit, maintenant va-t'en. Okay, so
Wow.
the answer to the super...
So he just is brushing her away like that isn't a big deal, but she accused him of trying to kill her for 3 years, which is crazy because, like, oh my god, did we find the real culprit here? Have we found the real killer? Oh my goodness, here he is. Get him. Here's some other clips though, just of him and Elora
relationship.
together.
Yeah, no, he said that because he likes you, JF.
It's because he likes me? He wants to
Yes,
steal me
He's
from
jealous.
you?
Yes, GF
Oh.
no type,
All type wants to steal me from Mama
007.
JF.
But you should come to live with us. He can sleep between me and you. And the horse key.
No, please no. So, do you have everything you need? Do you
Okay.
need food or water? Are you being dehydrated? Are you being constrained against your will
No, GF
to
is
stay
the
here?
best man ever. You're just jealous.
So you chose to be with me.
Yeah.
That was so weird. Just that he even had her, like, he asked her that because, like, he's such a loser, I think, that people don't even believe she was with him voluntarily. So he just had to let people know that she wasn't being coerced into being there. He hadn't done anything to her to make her like.
Yes, when I see you, I fall in love with you, GF.
And when I pay you all these groceries and you bring your coconuts here, you're happy about it.
Yes.
Okay.
You're better than my other boyfriend.
All right, better than her past boyfriend. See, once you go JF, you can't go.
You can't go. Guys, what is happening? What happened to this woman? Where is she? Here's another
This
clip of
alcohol?
the two of them together, which is very strange again.
Is there alcohol
Their
in there, Mama
interactions
JF?
together.
I really don't understand what it is. For the first time in my life, I'm drinking something. I have no idea what that is. What is it?
Oh, GF, you did him.
I dissed him?
Yeah.
Ba-ba-bam!
This is so weird.
Did it help you?
What's this?
Because I'm sorry, because I heard a voice in my head that said, you need to give him the drink.
But what is it?
She heard a voice in her head.
It's the brandy.
Brandy?
Yeah, and this juice. Because
Brandy and juice.
007. Somebody who is so intelligent and capable, she will be throwing the feds off of her scent. Throwing them off the trail. Maybe she got him to drink poison. I mean, what's really
Yes,
going on here?
they're
Is
up
she the
here.
real?
Yes, it's great.
She's
I
the
mean,
real
I'm very
psycho.
happy to be drinking this. And I've
This is
experienced
just so
it
weird.
did taste like alcohol, so I was suspecting that there was alcohol in there. How are you doing, people of the regular chat? I don't have much news items to cover tonight. What are you doing, Mama
yeah,
JF?
GF, I want to say something. Okay?
Oh, you want to co-host the show?
Yes.
What is it?
Look, go a little bit
What?
there.
Oh, you want me to? Well,
007?
if I go away, you can host the show,
Oh, okay,
but
nice.
do not violate YouTube rules.
Okay.
Do not violate YouTube rules. All right.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Okay, so everybody, how are you today? I'll be telling you something.
This is her.
Okay, so everybody, let me talk to you about GF Dick.
Oh no,
GF
no,
Dick
no.
is so good.
No. We're not listening to this. This woman clearly has issues and should not be in any position where she's like on her own for an extended period of time out of contact with people. So, she's missing and has been missing since June 17th, and his behavior has been super suspicious, but he's also just a very strange individual, a weirdo, and clearly a deviant, and has been for many years, has a history of deviant behavior, and he's a weirdo. But I don't think that he killed her. I haven't really seen any evidence that supports that. He's made bizarre statements, I'm sure, but you know, he could just be playing into the whole thing, and I suspect that's what he's doing to get attention and things like this. But hopefully she will be found and she'll be safe and okay. And I worry about the children, if there are children, like who's taking care of them right now, who's watching them, you know, how many people are living in the home, like what's going on here, you know, it's all really weird, and his behavior has been weird. So what do you guys think? Do you think that he's on his Scott Peterson arc? Has he gone full serial killer? Or is Mama JF just doing Mama JF stuff, I guess? Is she really like a 007 and maybe she's going to be found, you know, in a banana crate going over the Peruvian border? I mean, he was saying that she could be across the world. Like, oh yeah, we're going to see video evidence of her paragliding into Israel. That's going to be the sighting. Like, oh, she was spotted here, and then she's going to be spotted somewhere else, right? Because she's got to throw the investigators off her scent, and she's got to come up with new identities. So maybe that's what's happening. Or was it the other guy that apparently had been plotting for years to try to take her out? And will we ever know? I'm interested in hearing your thoughts.